Okay, let's get into the big story of today, which is AMD.
Yes, sir.
Um, so AMD went up 27% on the morning, fueled by news that OpenAI partnership 25%,
Hmm.
and that
No, it shot up 35%, 10% stake.
10% stake for OpenAI.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, that led to a frenzy in the stock market. Anybody that had AMD options, obviously, looked at their portfolio. I texted Dave Shans today. He was like, "Damn, that's crazy." Because obviously, if you watch Market Mondays, you saw that Dave Shans invested in the AMD option a
Yep.
few months ago. So I know that's something that we posted it actually on Instagram. That was one of your stock picks, Troy, at the beginning of the year
Mhm.
or last year. You thought AMD. And so yeah, talk about AMD.
Yeah, it kind of in the clip was encompassed where we were talking about Nvidia being obviously the leader of the space when it comes to GPUs and who that number two player was going to be. And sometimes in business, it's okay to be number two, and it was for this reason. When we think about Nvidia, every time we talk about it, we're talking about another Mag Seven company that is acquiring your chips because of the price point. It kind of alienates some of the audience, and so when Meta buys millions of chips for its data centers, when Amazon is buying, when Microsoft is buying, obviously through OpenAI, you're talking about millions and millions. I think one of the key pieces of what was said from the president of OpenAI, he said, this is so core to our mission. If we really want to be able to scale to reach all of humanity, this is what we have to do in regards to the partnership. And so when he says all of humanity, he's no longer talking about just corporate accounts and
Yep.
big Max 7 companies. He's saying we need to have enough GPUs to make sure that everyone on the planet can use our service. Now, if you just look at the cap table of how much that would cost, and we'll break down how this is a circular economy. This is
Yep.
really a circular economy,
Can we
right?
use the real word later? Oh no.
We can use the word circular economy because that's exactly what this is. That's
Yep.
exactly what this is. This is, hey, we have infrastructure, right? Oracle. We have connectivity, Broadcom. We have capital from Nvidia,
Nvidia.
right?
Yep.
And the
FX.
more we make and the more demand, all those things will start working together.
Hmm.
Now we need to make sure that we have enough bandwidth. We need to have enough hardware so that everyone can use it. So I think, what do they have, like over 800 million users now for
Yeah.
ChatGPT?
Yeah.
You're approaching the billion mark. That's only going to increase with the amount of people that are actually becoming more familiar with it. We talk about we use it every day. There are still people who don't have the app downloaded.
Hmm.
That's going to change in the next 2 to 3 years. So the demand is going to be even higher. So they need to have more GPUs at a price point that can be sustainable for their growth, which is why the 10% stake inside of AMD, the number two player, makes a lot of sense for them. But what they actually did was a warrant. So if you're not familiar with
Yep.
what a warrant is, it's like an option in a sense, right? Like they have the right, not the obligation, to buy or own the shares of AMD at a certain price point. They didn't disclose it yet, but that's what this is, and it makes perfect sense. So Nvidia is a partner. AMD
Yep.
is now under their ownership, 10% stake. This is just going to keep going in a cycle. This is why you got to follow and track the money because it'll lead you right to it. Everything's pretty evident.
Yeah. I know we've been talking a lot about circular investments and circular deals, but I want to frame it, Troy, don't worry, as an indestructible technological moat.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
AMD has been a pick and stock club for 6 years. Nvidia took the helm. OpenAI, like, don't you love when the babies get along and just bring the technological and financial vibe to you? This partnerships ensures the safety of that sector, being AI, and the safety of OpenAI as they start to become public. Um, Nvidia, of course, took a different route. They paid OpenAI. AMD issued a warrant, so that way you're covered on both ends. That's even a hedge in itself. And
Hmm.
then, like you said, with Oracle being in that infrastructure, it sets them up to be the leader not only in AI but potentially in quantum, having all those assets in line. The thing that I do like about OpenAI, it reminds me when he said that, it reminds me of Bill Gates. I want a PC in every home in the world. I think OpenAI has a very good chance to touch or have a touch point to every user on Earth. And they did an amazing job with the rollout of Sora as well. So on every front, enterprise, eventually government, consumer, they're doing incredibly well. Job well done to AMD, and it helps that Lisa and Jensen are cousins. You can't leave your cousin out, one of your favorite cousins out of the deal structure. So this is to me a technological moat that will not be destructed anytime soon.
Yeah, and we had an interesting call or class the other week when we talked about energy, and OpenAI is going to deploy 6 gigawatts of AMD's GPUs.
Yep.
6 gig, like we're talking about, that's the size that could power like Los Angeles. That's much as energy is going to need. I want to break this down because I wrote it. I was like, I got to explain this, but I got to write it down. So here's how this we call this circular economy. Ian, this moat. We'll say moat, right?
We'll say moat for right. Yep.
We'll say moat. So Nvidia last week, OpenAI announced that partnership with Nvidia, and it was big news. We saw it was $100 billion. So Nvidia, and we broke that down. If they help build those data centers, right, which a 1 gigawatt data center could cost up to $50 billion to get online, 25 billion to 30 billion of that is going to go just to the GPUs, obviously through the infrastructure. So Nvidia is helping provide hardware, and they're providing capital for them to get that infrastructure up. AMD now comes on, right? They're providing hardware, right? So you got hardware with Nvidia, hardware with AMD. And then you got Broadcom stepping in as a supplier for interconnected systems, right? We talked about that's the role that they play, and they're huge in that. Obviously, they have GPUs as well, but interconnected systems is what they'll do. And then you got Oracle with Stargate that's going to provide data center operations and cloud leasing. Don't forget about the cloud, right? When we talked about those servers, we talked about AWS, we talked about Google, we talked about Azure with Microsoft. Oracle's going to provide that. So here's how this works. The better OpenAI does, the more it consumes infrastructure. The more infrastructure is built, the more demand can scale. The more hardware capacity, the more advanced AI becomes, creating more demand in turn. Circular
is the word. Also, but on another lesson, this is how generational wealth looks and should work. I invest into your business, you invest into mine. Long-term partnership. Let's build a moat that cannot be advanced or encroached upon, and make sure we protect each other at all costs. Like that aspect of it with Jensen and Lisa being family, Sam coming into the tech family, Larry Ellison, if you know about his lineage and how he's helping his sons. This is a master class in how to do long-term partnerships and a great onboarding for OpenAI for when the market potentially tanks in 27 and 28 for them to come on board and probably be. Is OpenAI the greatest startup in American history?
It's crazy you said that, because I was just going to say that it has now passed SpaceX to have the largest valuation of any private company in history.
This rollout is I haven't seen nothing as good since they rolled out 50 Cent in the 8 Mile soundtrack.
This is better.
This is amazing, yo.
The interesting thing is when they did the Nvidia the Nvidia announcement last week, a part of the interview, Sam Altman is saying that, hey, we still have a bunch of announcements still to come this year. That was just last week. Last Friday, the valuation came out at 500. Now that you add this 10% stake in AMD, we're going way past 500 billion now.
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
So at this point, I'm thinking he's in the running for maybe like person of the year at this point with the amount of deals that he's done.
For sure. And the hardware hadn't even dropped yet.
It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
No, for sure. We got some insight on AMD earlier too, and before last year, from a friend of ours too. So
perhaps
it's good that we said it on Market Mondays.
Okay. Yeah, we said
it. It's helpful to know what's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, but that's part of it, is doing the research too. So even when a friend of ours said it, it was, for me, it felt like, oh, it's confirmation. To the research that it was done, right? Like we're on the right path. Even now, I still get texts from people in the AI space like, yo, bro, you're spot on. Like you're spot on. So now it's even more conviction when we talk to the audience here, because not only are we saying it, like that's why I said Market Mondays, and I'm not just saying because I'm here. It has to be one of the greatest shows for investment ever. Because the people that are watching it in these spaces are confirming it and saying, you know what? In fact, what you're saying is right. Here's some other things to look for.
Yep. AI, banking, crypto, all sides of tech, being at Nvidia. But yeah, 3-year price AMD 366.79 and 3-year price for Nvidia 305.44.
Yes, sir. All right. Shout out to Dave Shans too once again.
Dave, lunch on you when we in Atlanta,
got
bro.
in on that
For
call. So, man, you guys, EYO University, the options class, choice options class, vitally important. If you're in EYO University, take advantage of that because those options been going crazy. Obviously, if you see the market is at an all-time high, you know that the options are going to be pretty well positioned. So, yeah, a lot of those options have gone crazy over the last couple of months.
It's true. We saw Micron hit 200 today. I mean, it's been a hell of a year, man. It's been a hell of a year.